Now we're going to look at adding, subtracting, and multiplying with radicals. When two radical expressions have the same indices and radicands, they are called like radicals. And square root a plus square root b and square root a minus square root b are called conjugates. Now radicals work the same way as variables do. So as long as their indices are the same, and in this first one they're both square roots, and their radicands are the same, which both of them are 11, we can combine them. So when I combine them, I have 5 square root 11 minus 8 square root 11. You work with the coefficients, which would be 5 minus 8, and we're going to get negative 3 square root 11. On the next problem, we have fifth root x plus 15 fifth root x. Since they're both fifth root x, the first one it's assumed a 1, we can again combine their coefficients, so 1 and 15, so that would be 16 fifth root x. On the next problem, 4 square root 3 plus 2 cubed root 5. Those are not like radicals. We cannot combine those. However, I can combine 4 radical 3 with the minus radical 3 and the 2 cubed root 5 with the 8 cubed root 5. That's going to give me 4 minus 1, so that's going to be 3 cubed root 3. 3 square root 3 plus 2 and 8, that would be 10 cubed root 5. We cannot combine those two terms because they're not like radicals. Now let's look at the bottom. I have 6 square root 18 minus 5 square root 8. On the surface, they look like they cannot be combined. However, neither one of those radicals are simplified, so the first thing we're going to have to do is simplify each one of those and then see if they're like radicals. So I have 8 square root 18, so 18 I know can be broken down into 9 times 2. I know that the square root of 9 is 3. 6 times 3, that would be 18. So that half I have simplified. So that's 18 square root 2. Now I have to subtract 5 square root 8. Now I know 8 can be broken down into 4 times 2. I know that the square root of 4 is 2. So that's going to leave me 5 times 2, that's 10 square root 2. Now I can combine them. 18 square root 2 minus 10 square root of 2 would be 8 square root 2. Now let's multiply. Just like I can multiply with variables and numbers, I can multiply with radicals. I have to distribute in this problem. So I'm going to have 2 square root 3 times square root of 3, which would be 2 square root 9. 2 square root 3 times square root 10 would be 2 square root 30. I can simplify the square root 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So it's really 2 times 3. The square root of 30 cannot be simplified. It doesn't have a perfect square term, so we're just going to leave it square root 30. This is going to leave me my final answer. 2 times 3 is 6 minus 2 square root 30. Now let's look at number 12. This is a FOIL problem. We have a binomial times a binomial. So my first terms, 3 times 7, that's going to give me 21. My outer terms, 3 times square root of 5 is 3 square root 5. My inside terms, square root 5 times 7 is 7 square root 5. And my last terms, square root 5 and negative square root 5 would be negative square root 25. Out of all of that, I can do a couple things. I've got my 21. I can combine 3 square root 5 and 7 square root of 5 and get 10 square root 5. And I can simplify square root of 25 is 5. Now I can combine the 21 and the minus 5 for a final answer of 16 plus 10 square root 5. And that would be my final answer. I just realized I had a sign issue in that problem. When I did when I did 3 times square root 5, that should have given me a negative 3 square root 5. So I'm going to make a modification here. I just have to change a sign. That should have been a negative. So now when I can combine those, what that's going to change in my problem is instead of 10 square root 5, that's a negative 3 and a 7. That should have been a 4, which means this should have been a 4. So really my final answer should have been 21 and negative 5 is 21. Nope. 16. 21 minus 5 is 16. And then plus 4 square root 5. So I just had the wrong coefficient there. So watch your signs. It's easy to mix them up. Now let's look at number 14 on the list. It's a FOIL problem as well. So I'm going to, first term, 6 times 6 is 36. My outer terms would be a negative square root 3, 6 square root 3. My inners would be a positive 6 square root 3. And my last would be a negative square root 9. When I go to combine my middle terms, you'll notice that they cancel each other out, so I'm left with 36 minus the square root of 9 is 3. So on this particular problem, I get a nice, simple number as my answer, 33. This problem down here at the very end, you have a quantity squared. That's the same thing as square root 2x minus square root 7 times square root 2x minus 7. So be careful when you FOIL that last problem. Make sure you expand it and write it out. Don't just simply square the terms on the inside, and then you'll just use your FOIL when you multiply that.